And like we've done before, crop it down. You don't need all that. Nope, not like that. Okay, and you can edit to black and white. Which will help make it easier to do. And oh yes, I'm still going to do it upside down. Why, Miss? Why? Because then you focus on the details of it. Okay? The shapes that you see rather than trying to make it look like something. Bonnie, here's a pencil. Right there. Okay? So we are drawing upside down again. And I like to even go with my pencil over the lines, not actually scratching my phone or anything, but just trying to get a feel for what the things are. One of the tips I put on there was that do hair last. Absolutely do hair last. Do not do individual streaks of your eyebrows. Do not do your eyelashes. Those go in at the end. Okay? We're just trying to do shapes here and find highlights. Do you see that this has a highlight right here? There's a big highlight over my pupil and then a rectangle over here. There's some highlights there, some highlights in the little tear duct, a highlight. You think of your eyelid being in shadow, but look, I have a highlight right there. Okay, so take your selfie, edit it, black and white will make it easier. All right, and follow along. Oh, my dad texted me. Okay, so shape like that. Try and capture the shape of the lines. Draw what you see in front of you, not what you know. Draw what you see. So this one was kind of flat, and my upper lid is a little steeper. I'm drawing lightly, and I'm not pressed up against the tip of the pencil. I'm a little further back so that it's lighter. Okay, and then I have kind of the crease of my lid. This shape here, kind of feel it out. And it gets a little closer right there. I have a line, a crease that kind of goes there. That's that crease. And I have a shadow patch kind of right here. I'm going to outline it as a shape. Again, lightly outline it, but I'm trying to capture that that's a darker part. That's a darker part. Okay, and now I'm observing the iris of my eye, which is the colored part. It barely touches, the end of the circle barely comes down to here. And the top is covered more. Right, so it kind of comes out over there. And just barely touches, almost doesn't touch at the bottom there. And just do a couple marks till you get the circle right. Okay, so it's more covered at the bottom and kind of touches there. And I ended up drawing a little darker than I want, so I'm going to lighten it now before it's set in stone there. Okay, and now I'm going to draw that highlight shape because I know I don't want to interfere with that rectangle shape in the eye there. I'm just outlining it because I'm not going to touch it. So there's that kind of trapezoid rectangle shape. And it has two little white dots above it. Again, I'm going to want to not put any color, any shading there. So I'm reserving it and then there's kind of a streak of white above it. And then the pupil is kind of hiding. Pupil is the black part of your eye that the iris contracts and opens to let more or less light in. I'm going to go ahead and shade the pupil because I know that's my darkest value there. I have dark in my lashes, I have dark in the hair that's creeping in, I have dark in the mask, but that is my darkest value if you were to look at a value scale, right? And assign values 1 to 10, 10 being the darkest, this would be your 10 value. I'm only doing this because you will, but we're not, eyelashes are last, okay? You will draw eyelashes, but they are last. Okay, and I see that I have a dark rim around mine. You may or may not. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little indicator line showing where the rim will go. Again, the top's actually covered slightly by the lid, so I don't see it. Okay, and lots of people tend to, I'll show you what not to do, they draw their eyes like this, and they kind of leave it as a line. But this isn't a line, it's a thickness. Like you actually see the thickness of the eyelid, and the eyelashes start underneath it. See that? How it has kind of two lines making that up, and then the eyelashes start. You see the inside of your eye. Have you ever seen someone who like folds back their eyelid? You can kind of see the thickness of your eyelid and bottom and top there. Okay, so let's make sure we get this shape right for the top part. I say top because I'm drawing upside down. Okay, and then I have another line right underneath it because that's indicating the thickness of the lid that goes all the way across that thickness. My tear duct is pretty pointy as I'm looking at it. What shape is yours? You know? Figure it out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can get better detail. You see how this is better than this? This looks like a cartoon outline. You don't want a cartoon outline. Okay, and then your upper lid has a thickness too. And your eyelashes, which we're not drawing yet, actually come from underneath it and come out. Okay, so they come from underneath it there and come out. So we're going to save those because we have to draw the thickness of the lid first. It covers, the eyelashes cover most of it over here. But on this side, like I can see the thickness of the lid. I'm drawing like a buddy line, a parallel line that mimics the curve of the top lid. And even though a lot of this will get covered by lashes, I'm continuing it there. Okay? Another mistake that a lot of people make is that they leave the whites of the eyes white when really they have shadows and stuff too. We'll get to that a little bit. Okay, I'm looking at my top lid line, which I actually have two here. I'm older than you guys. I have some wrinkles. Gotta draw what I see. I want to draw me without wrinkles, but guess what? It wouldn't look like me. I have wrinkles. I'm old, y'all. So it kind of doubles up right there. And this one down here. Okay, what other places are highlights? I'm going to outline lightly my highlights. There's one here. I got the ones in the eye. There's one kind of right here. It's quite a bit lighter right there. And then there's a shadow underneath. I've got to highlight. This line that I drew is actually a white line. I need to make sure I leave that as white. And then there's a highlight around the tear duct here. And I'm drawing more shapes that are going to help me inform where to put shading and where to leave shading out. Okay, and then I look at the distance here, because I'm drawing it pretty much the same size. Mine's a little bigger, but looking at the distance, that looks about right. From here to here looks about right. I'm not going to shade, I'm not going to do my eyebrow, but I am going to put the general shape of it in place. And it goes past, I can measure things against each other. So here's where my tear duct is, my eyebrow ends over there. So I need that kind of same angle going on. And our eyebrows aren't this solid, but again, I'm just kind of mapping out the shape. I'm not doing individual hairs yet. Hair is less. Okay, and there's kind of a shadow here. And highlight that. There's shadow underneath here pretty well. And then it gets lighter over here. And you know what? I'm looking at this. I didn't leave enough space between my eyelid and my brow here. So I'm going to fix that line. Good thing I did it lightly. It kind of arches. Yeah, and there's more space there than I had originally left. Okay, and there's big shadow, kind of half moon shape here. It's cut off by my mask. And there's some shadows in here that come out. And your top eyelid casts the shadow down, so it's a little less bright underneath the eyelid here. Put a shadow there. Okay, so now I've got my spaces defined. That's what I was going for mostly. Just figuring out space. And I can start shading. Still not adding hair. Still just doing our best to observe and shade, and then hair is last. Hair is last, hair is last, hair is last. Okay, so again, if we had values 1 to 10, 1 being a pure highlight, the white of your eyes aren't quite as bright as like those two little dots right there, right? This is a little bit darker than that. So put a base value, nice and light. I'm not even bothering with my blending stump. You could use your blending stump. You don't really need it. You can kind of smear these light values with your eraser. Don't use your finger to smear. Okay? And then I saw that it got darker in the shadow a little bit. And then underneath the eyelid, the shadow. Okay? So that'd be like my 1 value. Or 1 is the highlight, that'd be a 2 value, I guess, on a value scale. Feather it a little bit with the eraser. It'll still read as white. Okay? In the eye, you can kind of use the directionality of your shading to make your iris look even more like an iris, because they kind of burst out. They have kind of a radial patterning to them, if you can see it. I'm purposefully drawing my shading lines the same direction as the iris. So mine has kind of a darker rim. Yours may or may not have that. kind of fades into the middle, and I'm just being careful not to enter the shapes that I set aside as highlight. I want those to stay nice and bright. Use the white of the paper, untouched by any pencil. Okay. You can keep going and smooth it out and get it kind of that glassy look. Your blending stump can help with that. And if you create crisp edges around it, not with a line, but by values butting up against each other, I think that helps too. Make those highlights feel like they really are reflections on your eyes. Nice, Gabriel. Yeah. Do another one from an angle. So again, I didn't outline those. I let the dark value and the white value come against each other, and that created an edge. Okay? And this is kind of a nice mid-tone, maybe like a 5 value. And this line, this crease, isn't really a line, it's just where there's shadow. It creates a line. So you can kind of blend that shadow out. You want to do all this work, so when you do add the eyelashes, you've got a nice background behind it of skin showing through, because your eyelashes aren't solid, they're individual hairs. Sometimes they're grouped. But right. And then you can use your eraser to soften things, add highlights back in a little bit, like that. And then, like I said, there's actually a highlight running through my crease. You'd think it would be all dark there, but it's not. You can use your eraser and keep that nice and sharp too. I assess this as all kind of a mid-tone shadow as well. And this shape was a little bit darker, so blend that in. Fade it out, because your skin doesn't have lines on it, it just fades out, dark and light, dark and light. And back to kind of a mid-tone in here. And it was a little bit darker on the side. I know, you're like, it doesn't look right. And it will once we add the eyelashes. It will. This part is all lighter. This part lighter. Mine's looking a little streaky. you spend a little more time, this is for demo purposes, you can smooth it out, or again, a blending stump. Just be aware that if you use a blender, you don't want to make all your values disappear. Okay, and this is reading as darker. I have darker eyebrows than my skin. So again, put the base layer of shading of value there, but don't worry about the hairs just yet. Hairs will come, and then it was lighter above it. Lighter here, a little bit darker here. Fades out. So I saw my darkest kind of mid-tones were above the lid, off to the side here, around my nose, and this kind of dark circle that starts under my eye. And I have too much of a highlight around this edge, I think, so just go in with your eraser and get rid of those outlines, and it flows into the next color that way, next value. Just going in and making sure all my highlights are really strong where they need to be. And then this thing kind of has darkness around it and a highlight on top. So that's pretty easy. I want to make sure that's there. Okay, so now that I have everything down, I can add kind of streaks. So kind of notice the direction of your hair. Don't overdo it. Don't draw every single one, but you want to get the idea and kind of leave your marks showing. So mine start kind of up and then fan out. A few really get the idea. You're not going to draw every single eyebrow hair. Okay, and the eyelashes, again, imagine that they're coming out and up. And do they cross this line? Here they do. But you don't want to draw your eyelashes too big and fake looking, unless you're wearing fake eyelashes. But there's a curve to them. Okay? So this one, it starts right above where my iris meets my eyelid, and it's just kind of a little like that. So that's that one. This one, like a triangle shape. Again, imagine it's coming out and over, and it doesn't even reach the eyelid crease above. So it's just like a triangle. The next one, there's a little bit of a space, and it's kind of slanted, kind of like a cursive line, and it just barely touches that one. Okay? Again, imagine it's coming from underneath your eyelid like that. Now I'm at this one, which should be where the iris meets, and it's longer. It actually crosses. And the next one's the longest of all and the widest. in that, with that curve, that helps it look like it's actually going underneath your eye there. And kind of the gaps, and then we start to see them. Okay, and there's gaps in them, right? You can include that. And then the ones on the bottom don't actually start at the white. They start after the thickness of the bottom eyelid is there. Again, they're kind of grouped into triangles. Didn't want to lose that white highlight there. Okay, so does that look more like an eye now that you got to add eyelashes?